Yeah, and I'll be rambling because so much of this is so interesting to me anyhow, and it should be too, because I don't think a lot of this is known. And I remember at the second international Orgonomic conference up at Orgonomy. Oh wait, did I? Yeah, I got some pictures here. See how organized I am. Uh, that was after the Brady article. What's his name? Alice Brady? Yeah, yeah, Brady.
Yeah, Mary.
Or with a Brady her last name. She was hired, which we found out later, by the American Psychiatric Association to write a rather scurrilous, contemptuous plague article about Dr. Reich. And it was just copied by all the psychiatric magazines and the Manager magazine and whatnot. And at that time we had Dr. Silver. I remember some of you people knew about him. He was a resident there also, and he became very interested in it, in orgonomy, and he heard the top brass, Carl Manager himself, talking about, this guy has something, but he's gonna make us all go back to school and have to study this. And they were all buying character analysis, but they wouldn't show it to anybody. So anyhow, Dr. Reich at that time said, the plague is going to grow, and he says it's going to come to the point. He said, well, I feel that I could be sent to jail. And he said, but I'm not going to leave it. And he said, if any of you, all of you fellas want to leave, it's okay with me. He said, and that was the beginning, the whole campaign. So at the here's a picture of Dr. Reich lecturing. I don't know if anybody saw it. You can pass it around. It was the afternoon session, and here's an evening session. Here we had in the evening one.
Would you mind holding it up?
This is the evening session. Yeah.
I think you should explain that's in the lab at Orgonomy.
Now this is the lab. It's too bad. This is the evening one, and A.S. Neal was there. He's the white-haired guy. So you could just pass the whole pictures around. If anybody wants to know who is who, just shot. So I'll just sort of, it's, Dr. Reich, Dr. Reich later did. And I'll just mention different terms. He went on to boiling hodgepodge of brew, witch's brew of a lot of organic material, and then he very diligently looked at all the detritus, broken down material, and he saw little globs which he called vegetative biomes. And then he got an idea of taking inorganic material like sand, which he felt would be very rich in energy, and he heated that up to incandescence, and then he cooled it, and looked at it under the microscope, and he saw these very well-defined biomes, little vesicles, a lot of which radiated a blue color. And he decided, well, he wanted to see what effect they would have on the body. And he made little packets of it and put it on different parts of the body. And he saw where he had the packets that it would sort of give it a redness and then tanned a little bit. Then he used it over certain wounds, cuts and whatnot, and they heal very fast. He called them sapobiomes. And then he worked with the electroscope. I'm just going to mention this. Electroscope is used to measure the electricity in the air. And you charge it up with any kind of electrical instrument, and the gold leaves separate, and then as they discharge, the leaves would come back to the original position. So he decided to put the electroscope and charge it up with a backlight, which he felt gave a charge, but then he did it at different times of the day. And in the morning, and cloudy days, it would discharge much faster. In the middle of the day, he found that they would discharge much slower. And he corroborated that with what he called TO minus T, two temperatures. He had a very fine temperature, thermometers, and he put one over accumulating substances and one over non-accumulating substances. And the TO over the accumulating materials would always, almost 99% of the time, show a higher temperature than over the thermometer that just was over plain material. I'm bringing that up. That's how it proceeded, and ways. Actually, I'm glad you asked me, so I can go on to something else. Up at Orgonomy, we had a accumulator room, which was probably about 10 by 10, and the walls were all made out of accumulating substances, which have to be, the outer layer has to be inorganic, then organic and inorganic, and inorganic, organic, organic, inorganic, organic, inorganic. That was the walls of the accumulator room. And it was pitch black, as black as you possibly get. When you sat in it, you saw nothing. And after about 10, 15 minutes, when one's eyes became fixed on the atmosphere in there, you suddenly saw blue all over your body. And you could walk around, see somebody's arms, and shake hands with them. And then there'd be clouds in it the longer you stayed, and it would be floating around. And when you took an electroscope, put an electroscope in that room, it never discharged. Never discharged. And that's where you saw the blue. He also took, at one time, and there's pictures of it.
Right. In the hardback edition of Supercosmic Imposition, there's a color photograph of Dr. Soap.
Yeah, and as complete vacuum as he possibly could get. And from General Electric or someplace like that. And he put that in an accumulator room. And after a period of a couple of days or a week, he took it out and he sent in the smallest charge of amperage, electricity he possibly could do, and the whole tube just glowed blue. And when we mentioned that to physicists and whatnot, they said that's impossible. You just can't do that. And there's a picture of it, a very beautiful picture, and it still glows, I understand. In the blood, you get a very good view of the orgone energy in the body, as we see in the body. But
Yeah, is that the, yeah, pass it
oh, there it is. Yeah. Lucky Strike, they advertised, and they had the a beautiful woman, of course, looking, and they had the superimposed over T, this way and this way, and they said, Lucky Strike is the best protection against getting infections in this T zone. So why
You
should
get
they?
infections, but you can't.
Infection, anything, you know. They got away with that, you know. But poor Dr. Reich and Orgonomy. You know, when you think of it, there's never been one report of death or suicide that I know of, and among the ergonomists or any serious, there are a few serious illnesses, but my God, thousands for mankind was the Reich blood test. And at one time, back 20, 30 years ago, I used to give the Reich blood test to all my patients, but it's a tedious procedure, and I slowly just sort of discontinued. Now, in the Reich blood test, the thing we do is to take just a prick of blood, put it under the microscope. That's the first stage. And we look at the blood, and you see on the picture there, the one over in the left, upper left, it's like a donut. And you literally, you see inside the donut is the nucleus is sort of a yellowish, and the frame inside the donut is sort of a deeper yellow. And outside you actually see that field radiating, and that's a bluish field. Then you watch it for about, you look at the size and shape of the red blood cells, the frame, its evenness, its regularity, and everything else. The orgone energy field outside, which is, it's too bad, like, someday I'd like to get everything back and so you can see it. It's so spectacular. And the centers large, small, round, and the color is pink or reddish to violet. Now, then after about, well, the cell breaks down. Now the breakdown is a good determination of how rich, how much, what the energy concentration in the body is. The higher the concentration of energy the level is, the slower the red blood cells break down. And they disintegrate very slowly, but if the blood is, energy level is high in the body, in the blood, the frame doesn't break down, the